Wait. Hold. Can I have a point of order here and stop the clock? I was the chairman, you can put that down now, for a Congress in which we had, I think, over 40 hearings. And in those hearings, never once did I tell a Republican colleague what questions they could or could not ask. Those are kind of not my business. And we had some pretty out there questions, I will tell you. And we certainly never had a witness tell senators what questions they could and could not ask. So I guess I'm like, why can I not get an answer? Is there some new rule in this committee as to where these executive orders came from? That's perfectly, to me, legitimate congressional oversight. And over, this witness has told us what questions he will answer. But the oath he took was to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in response to our questions. So if there's some new limitation about what question I can answer, I would like to understand that. If not, I'd like to have the chair tell the witness to answer my questions.
Well, as I understand it, there's no attorney-client privilege here, right? Or you're not claiming an attorney-client?
I'm not claiming a privilege, Senator.
Okay, yeah, well, you're not part of the administration. Generally speaking, I guess the question is, did you advise on executive orders and which ones? Is that the question? Yeah. Can you kind of tell us that, please, if you could?
Senator, I was not a member of the transition. I was not a member of the president's campaign.
Do you have knowledge of where the executive orders were drafted?
I don't have a comprehensive knowledge of where the executive orders were drafted.
Do you have any knowledge of where the executive orders were drafted? Do you know, for instance, if some of them came out of language from the Center for Renewing America, or some of them came out of Project 2025, or some of them came out of the Heritage Institute, or some of them came out of the American Petroleum Institute? Do you know an answer to those questions?
I can't imagine they came from Project 2025. The president disassociated himself repeatedly from that. But no, I can't give you a comprehensive answer with regard to where the executive orders were compiled. My assumption is that they were compiled within the transition.
A lot of mistakes getting made in federal personnel management. Hundreds of National Nuclear Security Administration employees, those are the folks, as I think you know, who safeguard America's fissile material, fired. You had to scramble to hire them back for obvious reasons. That was a mistake, right?
Senator, I'm here on behalf of a rescissions package.
Well, you're here to answer questions that senators want to ask you. It was a mistake to fire hundreds of people responsible for the safety of America's nuclear stockpile, and a mistake that you had to remedy by scrambling to rehire them. It's okay to acknowledge mistakes, Mr. Vought.
I think those questions are better posed to the agency heads that made decisions.
But I'm posing it to you, Mr. Vought.
Again,
was it a mistake?
I'm here to testify on the decisions that I've been a part of and to send
You're the budget director.
The rescissions package.
You're the budget director. Was it a mistake to fire hundreds of people responsible for safeguarding America's nuclear stockpile? It was, because the administration had to scramble to rehire them, right? It was a mistake.
Senator, the administration went through a very extensive Department of Government Efficiency process that was very dynamic. Cabinet heads were making the final determinations, and they made adjustments where they felt they needed to. But I'm going to let them explain those decisions.
Hundreds of Food and Drug Administration medical device reviewers and food safety reviewers fired, I guess, accidentally, and then rehired. A mistake, right?
I'm going to let the cabinet secretaries explain the decisions and what was going on. I don't have the information to give you a sense of the granularity of every one of those decisions.
Were you not aware, for example, until this hearing, that the nuclear safety workforce had been gutted and then that decision had to be reversed? Is this the first you're hearing about that?
Senator, I'm aware of many things and the extent to which the Department of Government Efficiency was involved with a lot of work to make sure that we were operating government as efficiently as is possible.
Okay. You know what
And
would be,
the extent to which
what would be very simple is just, yes, that was a mistake to fire hundreds of people responsible for safeguarding America's nuclear stockpile. Take credit for fixing the mistake. Hundreds of National Weather Service employees fired, scrambling to rehire them. It's a mistake. I met Mr. Vought, a gentleman in Georgia, about a month and a half ago, whose son is an astrophysicist, recently trained by an elite U.S. university. I mean, these are the folks that we really need serving the American people, who had just been hired by the federal government and was summarily terminated, not on the basis of any individualized determination about his performance, but simply because he was a probationary employee who is now working in Beijing. You guys are making mistakes, and I want to focus on the mistakes that you're making at the CDC. Have you visited the CDC, Mr. Vought, by chance?
I have not.
It is the flagship epidemiological and public health agency for the country and indeed for the world.
That even the
as you
Biden
know.
administration felt the
And
need to
you have
reform.
you have now fired or tried to fire nearly a quarter of the workforce, correct?
Senator, are you suggesting the CDC performed well in the last pandemic?
I asked you whether you have fired or tried to fire a quarter of the CDC
I
workforce.
can't answer the question because I
Okay,
don't
well,
have
you
the facts in front of me. That's
You
the
have
CDC
fired or
director's,
tried to fire
information to give
nearly
you.
a quarter of the CDC workforce, and your budget request for FY26 would cut the CDC budget in more than half, correct?
The Center for Disease
No,
Control was
answer the
in-
question.
They were incompetent.
Answer the question, Mr.
last
Vought.
pandemic.
Does your
The
budget
Biden- we
request
certainly cut
seek to cut by more than half the CDC budget?
We certainly seek to cut and reduce
By
the
more than
CDC.
half the CDC budget.
The
Listen,
extent to
Mr. Vought,
which-
you need to come to Georgia and visit the
Happy to.
CDC. Good. We'll make that happen because you are destroying this institution. And whatever criticism you have about their past performance, they are essential to public health and epidemiological defense in the United States. You're crushing morale, you're crushing capability, and you're destroying my constituents' lives. And I am grateful for the commitment you've made to come to Georgia and visit the CDC and sit down with those employees. Thank you,
Senator, the
Madam
Biden
Chair.
administration
I don't want to
proposed
hear about the
reform.
Biden administration.
did.
You're here on behalf of the Trump administration.
The witness is allowed to answer the question. The time, however, has expired, but would you like 30 seconds to answer the question?
I would just point out, Senator, that the Biden administration thought the need to put forward a reform proposal because of the performance of CDC in their performance in the global pandemic of COVID. The CDC can be and should be reformed. Our budget reflects that. I look forward to coming to Georgia to visit CDC.
I look forward to your visit.
Senator Gillibrand.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Director Vought, for being here. I think you said the president supports the big bill that was passed out of the House, correct? I think you also said the president does not support cutting Medicare.
Correct.
Okay, so in the bill, there's a $500 billion cut that gets triggered to Medicare. So I know a number of the people who voted for the bill are starting to read it now and finding there's parts they don't like. You might want to take a look at that provision.
As you know,
That's okay, that's okay. I only have
You don't want the
5 minutes.
explanation? Okay.
I didn't ask you the question, did I? I'm asking you a question, though, since we didn't have your remarks this morning. I think we got them this afternoon. You mentioned cultural Marxism. You did it in your comment. Could you please, in 2 or 3 sentences, define cultural Marxism?
Sure, it's a political theory that instead of dividing people on the basis of economic haves or have-nots, that you're dividing people on the basis of race and identity. And it's an attempt that we've seen, unfortunately, in this country, culminating in CRT, of dividing people on the race in our agencies and identity.
So your definition, Mr. Director, is different than the definition I'm pulling up. First thing that pops up on here, it says cultural Marxism refers to a far-right anti-Semitic conspiracy theory that misrepresents Western Marxism as being responsible for modern progressive movements, identity politics, and political correctness. That's first definition that pops up here. It actually comes up a couple times on the first page.
On Google?
You identify yourself as a Christian nationalist, correct?
Look, I'm a Christian. I don't think my faith should be a subject for this.
No, I just asked you a simple question. Do you identify as a Christian nationalist?
No, this is a Christian.
good enough.
My faith is about is one of an evangelical Christian faith.
That's okay. not here to debate that. I saw
you brought it up.
Christian nationalist. No, I asked you if you were a Christian nationalist. You said you weren't, correct?
These are debates in the think tank world that we have
Okay,
about
that's
what
all
it
right.
means
Stop,
to be a
please,
Christian nation.
Mr.
It's not about what I've been,
Director, that's not
I've
the
been
question
asked.
I asked.
I've not
Okay,
been
so
asked to talk about that.
you support the efforts of DOGE. You mentioned Steve Davis, and I know we talked about trying to bring the director of DOGE in here, and that would be very helpful. Problem is, I just read he's also leaving with Elon Musk. So who's in charge of DOGE? If the guy who is taking over after Elon Musk, who just left, and he's leaving, it sounds like this is a bit of a circus. Who's in charge of DOGE?
The cabinet agencies that are in charge of the DOGE consultants that work for them are fundamentally in control of DOGE.
Oh, that's an answer only a mother could love. All right. So you support the efforts of DOGE, I understand. Is the federal government currently spending less this year than it did last year?
No, it's not.
Great. And part of that is because you've sent us a rescission package worth $9 billion that goes after Big Bird and Cookie Monster, but you've added $200 billion to defense and homeland security. You've also, the bill that you just said the White House supports is going to add, depending who you talk to, $2.4 trillion to $5 trillion to the national debt. It's going to make somewhere between 11 and 16 million people lose their health care. I know you said on a Sunday morning show no one will lose coverage as a result of this bill. Is that still your standing?
Which one of those would you like me to take?
The one I just asked. I'll ask it again. I'm sorry if I wasn't
The bill does
clear.
not lead to less coverage for Medicaid beneficiaries. It has improper payments,
so-
and it leads to the fact that people who are ineligible because they're illegal aliens or because
Illegal
they're
aliens
unwilling
do
to
not
work.
get federal dollars from Medicaid, correct?
That's not true. They get them in many different states, including California.
Federal dollars?
Federal dollars
They
using
get state
provider.
dollars. State can provide it. Are there any federal dollars?
Congressman,
how many
because
federal
of-
dollars then, since
Congressman,
you're
be-
the expert, how many federal
Congressman,
dollars go
because
to
of-
funding illegal aliens getting Medicaid?
Congressman, because of the money
It's a question,
laundering.
it's a number. It's a question, it's a number. How many dollars go to illegal aliens, federal dollars for Medicaid? It's a simple
Congressman,
question.
It is not actually a simple question because
All
Congress.
your secretaries have a hard time with simple questions lately. I got to tell you, it is a
don't
simple.
pose simple
But you were saying that that's true, so we will. If you can get back to us with that amount, how's that sound? How much federal dollars? are
I'm
going
happy to get back to you about how the bill works and getting rid of the money laundering
So
schemes
a
that
lot of
state
people
use.
disagree with you. The CBO disagrees with your analysis. Yale and Penn said 13.7 million people will lose health insurance. You also said this won't increase the debt. Is that correct? The
It
bill
will
won't
not increase the debt. It will lead to
So
reduced
there, the
deficits. and
Cato
debt.
Institute disagrees with you. Moody's disagrees. The CBO disagrees. Senator Hawley and Senator Rand and Senator Collins disagree. Elon Musk disagrees. Virtually everyone on this side of the aisle. So you're saying everyone is wrong, but you are the right one, that this does not increase the debt?
I'm saying that all the watchdogs, including the Congressional Budget Office, use a skewed vision of a view of what the baseline is.
They were less
base-
than a few percent wrong last time on your tax bill when they predicted it almost dead on. So you're saying this time there's significant changes and they don't know what's going on and only you do, is that correct?
I'm stating that they use a
You
baseline.
disagree with the Cato Institute
Yes,
and Moody's
yes.
and Senator Hawley?
Senator Hawley has a view as to the Medicaid programs that we are working with to articulate why we believe that these reforms do not hurt the beneficiaries that are involved.
I'm over
Chair
time, but
now
I'll appreciate
recognizes
it next
Mr.
round.
Edwards. Chair now recognizes Mr. Pocan for his lightning round question. 2 minutes, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I want to thank Ms. Hinson for putting in the record to verify what I said, which is undocumented immigrants are not eligible to enroll in federally funded coverage, including Medicaid, CHIP, or Medicare, or to purchase coverage through the ACA marketplaces. And in California, indeed, it was state funds. So thank you, Ms. Hinson, for having my back. I love bipartisan cooperation. Project 2025, you're one of the authors. You're on the advisory board. You work for Heritage. You're basically January, February, and March in a Project 2025 calendar, right? But you were asked this weekend about it, and you said, no, the administration isn't following Project 2025. So just, I'll go through lightning rounds since I only have 2 minutes. Just tell me coincidence or not. In the Project 25, abolishing Department of Education, you guys are doing that. Is that a coincidence?
The president's view and
Coincidence or
agenda.
not?
The
Just
president's
coincidence or not? That's all you got to
president's
ask.
agenda
Okay,
is
I'll go
being
through the
followed.
rest. Any diversity, equity, and inclusion?
The president's agenda is being
Shifting
followed.
FEMA costs to the states?
The
Targeting
president designs
PBS
his
and the
agenda.
National Public Radio?
President
Freezing
designs.
federal assistance? Restricting gender-affirming care? Revoking security clearances? stripping civil servants of employment protections, reinstating service members who refuse COVID-19 vaccines, banning transgender people from the military, a hiring freeze, withdrawing from the World Health Organization, sending active duty troops to the southern border, limiting refugee admissions, rescinding temporary protected status designations, capping indirect costs for university-based research, requiring disclosures of foreign gifts to universities, apparently not planes to presidents, asserting the president's power to remove federal officials, and targeting NOAA. Were those all just coincidences that they happened to be in Project 25 and they were just in the back pocket of the president since November?
The president has never been more of a promises made, promises kept president than we've ever had in history. He has run on an agenda. He was very clear on that agenda. He's now enacting that agenda. And those of us who work for him work for his agenda in executing that agenda.
Chair now recognizes Mr. Alford.
Earlier this year, WCMU out of Mount Pleasant, Michigan, saved lives when it stepped up to coordinate emergency information during a catastrophic ice storm in Michigan. When commercial towers went down, this is not a luxury, but it's a fundamental public responsibility. Public broadcasters are the backbone of emergency alerting, but I've heard from Michigan broadcasters, especially those in rural areas, that they may not survive if these cuts go through. That could mean no emergency alerts for over 250,000 residents in the Upper Peninsula alone, not to mention the thousands more in northern Michigan, mid-Michigan, or the Thumb. So Director Vought, I just need a yes or no answer to this question. Were you fully aware of the emergency alert function that public broadcasters play when recommending eliminating these funds in the rescissions package?
Senator, certainly aware of the extent to which public broadcasting has an impact on these communities, and it's our view is that to the extent that it's been politicized, we have a real problem in this country. You said something earlier in which you said was misstated. We did not impound funds in January. We have not impounded funds yet. It certainly wasn't as a result of the malicious compliance that was conducted with regard to the freeze memo that you were referring to. So I think it's important that the record reflect that.
Well, we're seeing, Mr. Vought, thank you. We're seeing you're holding funds. You're holding funds that have been appropriated by Congress. That's not going out. Communities and others are being hurt.
We're conducting a programmatic
review. Answer the emergency. I would like you to answer the question that I asked. Are you aware about the emergency alert function and how critical that is in rural America? Is that
certainly
something?
Aware of the extent to which public broadcasting performs a host of different purposes, and we continue to have
Specifically
major
emergency broadcasting.
and we continue to maintain funding for other programs. One of them, which includes a FEMA for this type of work and this type of service.
You know, FEMA can't do it all. That's where it's pretty clear what's happening here. So how are you going to fill the budget backholes? How are these people going to be able to get that information? Do you have a plan for that?
We believe that we have put forward a very reasonable proposal. We've maintained the fiscal year 25 funds that are already obligated to the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. Maybe they should get a sense for the degree to which Congress and the President is moving against that funding and not fund as much NPR and PBS. The
They're going to
political
go down.
program
What I'm
that
hearing
is
from my folks,
underway,
these
in which
stations
we
here-
are saying, here, Senator,
No,
in
but-
2022, NPR ran a feature titled,
No,
What
I don't-
Queer
that's
Ducks
not
Can
the
Teach
question, Mr.
Teenagers
Vought,
About
that's not the
Sexuality in the
question.
Animal
That's
Kingdom.
not the question, Mr. Vought.
In
I have another
2020,
question for you.
PBS show
Mr.
Sesame
Vought,
Street partnered with
Mr. Vought.
CNN for a town hall aimed at
Vought.
preventing racism and the Black
Mr.
Lives
Vought, could
Matter
you
riots.
show a little bit of respect here?
I'm happy to, but
And
you
I'm asking
continue to
a
misstate
question.
things and
I
ask
don't
the same
need you to
question.
answer questions that I'm not asking. Please. I'm trying to be as civil as I can, and that's who I am. But I don't expect to have a witness that behaves as you do. It's really disrespectful. But it's certainly understandable given
misstated
the
the
types of
facts.
activities. I have another question for you. The Impoundment Control Act only permits the president to refuse to spend the funds proposed for rescission for up to 45 days. If Congress does not approve a rescission package, the president then must release the funds to be spent on these critical projects. So my question for you, sir, and this is the question I'd like to have answered. Do you commit that if Congress does not pass a rescission bill to cancel these funds, that the administration will then release them so that they can be spent?
Yes, if Congress does not pass this $9.4 billion rescission, we will release the funds for this multi-year package.
Very good. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Congratulations on the nomination, Mr. Vought. I want to go back to the comment that Senator Warner read to you, there's 140,000 federal employees in Virginia. And you gave a speech that got a lot of attention when you said, we want bureaucrats to be traumatically affected. When they wake up in the morning, we want them to not want to go to work because they are increasingly viewed as the villains. Now, I pay attention to the way people say things because there's a million ways you can make a point. And the way you choose to make a point tells you something about the person. There's a wonderful, since I had an Old Testament reference over there, I'll go to a New Testament one, Luke 6:45. From the fullness of the heart, the mouth speaks. We want people to be traumatized. We want people to be traumatized. I've heard a million people in this room give speeches about we want to cut the budget, we want to reduce federal spending, want to deal with the deficit, but I haven't heard anybody give a gleeful speech about traumatizing the federal workforce. You don't want federal air traffic controllers going to the airport traumatized, do you, Mr. Vogt?
No, Senator.
You don't want the people inspecting our food, our medicine, our infant formula as federal. You don't want them to go to work traumatized, do you?
No, Senator.
You don't.
The hearing turned tense as senators repeatedly clashed with Budget Director Russ Vought over federal workforce cuts, Project 2025, and the Trump administration's aggressive government downsizing plans. Lawmakers accused Vought of dodging direct questions about mass layoffs affecting nuclear security workers, CDC employees, FDA reviewers, and National Weather Service staff. Senators argued the administration made serious mistakes by firing critical personnel and then scrambling to rehire them, while Vought defended the cuts as part of a broader effort to reform what he described as an inefficient federal bureaucracy. A major confrontation erupted over the CDC, with one senator warning that proposed budget cuts would devastate America's public health system and drive away top scientific talent. Another heated exchange focused on Vaught's past comments about wanting federal workers to feel traumatized, which lawmakers condemned as disrespectful toward civil servants responsible for public safety. The hearing also spotlighted growing controversy around Project 2025, public broadcasting cuts, and claims that the administration's budget plans could increase the national debt while causing millions to lose healthcare coverage. Despite sharp partisan divisions, the hearing revealed the larger battle shaping Washington, whether the administration is reforming the federal government, or dismantling key institutions in the process.